episode was so fun. Hi, welcome to A Moment in Time with Taylor. I'm Taylor. I go live on Periscope every single day, 7 days a week for 3 hours a day, and once a week I do a review on the previous night's episode of Survivor. So last night I did do a live watch along, so some of you guys already watched it with me. We got to discuss it live and afterwards. Some of you guys might be watching this on the replay. Feel free to put your comments on YouTube or message me if you're watching on Periscope. They don't allow commenting after the fact. And please do subscribe and follow me everywhere so we can talk Survivor and many other awesome fun topics that we enjoy and have in common. So who would have ever thought I would be so excited about extortion? It was so fun. The whole episode is called This is Extortion, and it was just a really, really fun episode to watch. So before I get in, let me just say, hey, Rio, first comment to the broadcast. I know you're Kochan. Hello, Kochan. You're glad this works. You're glad what works? Share. What's going on? Hey, Ed. Hi, Rhodey. Hi, everyone. Thanks for being here. Thank you to all of you beautiful, amazing souls for loving this content so much that you're willing to give your hard-earned money to keep it going. Love you guys. Appreciate you guys. Can never say it enough. Ever, ever, ever. Okay, so it starts out, episode 11, right? So it's day 28, and it starts out with no one's going to tell Jeremy what happened at Tribal, because he left. He used his Houdini advantage, where he was able to leave the Tribal Council so that he couldn't be voted out, but also he didn't get a vote. He also didn't get to observe how the voting went and see who went home. So he saw that Tyson was out, and he was upset because he expressed his, privately to the camera, he talks about his strategy of meat shields, using meat shields to protect himself because he's a big, strong guy, and people target him, so if he can keep other big, strong guys in the game, that helps him to get further in the game, and it's how he wins the game. So he was upset to see that Tyson had gone home. It wasn't super surprising, though, because he knew that by leaving, his alliance was going to be in the minority and not be able to offset the votes of the majority. Now, at the same time, he also didn't know that Sarah was going to use her steal a vote advantage, which was really, which made it so that it didn't really matter if he was there to vote or not, but everyone was pretty upset. They were upset that he didn't stay and vote, and they were just kind of upset. They were withholding information. They didn't want to tell him how it went. It was pretty awkward. It was an awkward kind of beginning of the episode. Ben and Jeremy are kind of talking off to the side after that, and they're having an argument about who's a bigger threat. Jeremy saying, Ben, I think you're a bigger threat. Ben saying, Jeremy, I think you're a bigger threat. They're kind of like having it out, and it gives some insight into how Ben's been playing this game. He really hasn't been playing his hand close to his chest. He's been really just saying what he really thinks in the reality, which isn't probably the best way to play Survivor from what I've learned from watching it. I've never played, so who knows for sure. Enigmatic, thank you so much for the super hearts on Periscope. I appreciate you. Thank you, thank you. And it doesn't seem like a really winning type strategy, because he kind of is like telling people if he doesn't want to work with them, he doesn't want to work with them. He's not really leaving a whole lot of options open. He's kind of burning bridges, and I don't know that that's the best strategy. My guess is that it isn't, but we'll see. We'll see. You're back? Oh, welcome back, Big. Thanks for sharing this out, Michael. Peace, love sent you, Jim Jen. Hey! Yeah, I saw you in that previous broadcast. Thank you. Everything else on your phone is glitchy. Oh. Oh, that's weird. That's really weird. Well, yeah, I'm glad this works, too. I'm glad you're here. Hey, Chloe. Hi. Okay. So then everyone goes to sleep. And Kim and Michelle had a talk a little bit about strategy, too, about how everything's kind of chaotic and they don't know what they're going to do. So they're playing from the bottom and they know it. Oh, thanks, Big. Thank you so much. Thank you. I appreciate that. Thank you. So then Tony goes idol hunting before anybody wakes up. Chloe, thank you for the super hearts. Thank you, thank you, thank you. He goes idol hunting before anyone wakes up, which he's excited to do because he's been holding back on doing it for so long, and now he finally gets to go idol hunting. He goes out, Nick kind of crashes his party, he shows up, he wants to go idol hunting too, and Tony's like, alright, you go over there, I'll go this way, and Tony does end up finding the idol himself, and it's a straight up immunity idol, no weird catches, no having to match the two halves or anything strange. He finds an immunity idol. Hey, Ange! Thank you for all the super hearts, Chloe. Look at her lighting it up. Then Sarah has a great little intermission clip almost. She's sitting there and she's painting something and she says, You know, a lot of people, they look at me and they just see this girl's just a pretty face, and she's just really smart, and she's just really funny. You know, she's like being very sarcastic, and she's like, but what they don't realize is that I'm also extremely creative. And she's like, I design clothes. I just designed my own clothing line, and they're making all these fake clothes out of like the equipment that they have there, and they do a fake fashion show, and Tony gets all pissed off, and he's like, I don't want any part of this. I'm not watching this. This is so stupid. He leaves. He's, you know, Tony. Kind of a wild card. Everyone else seems to have a lot of fun with it. Sarah's talking about how strong her social game is, how much fun she's having. Everyone seems to be into it, and they're having a good time, and, you know, something to pass the time when you're on a relatively deserted island. So during this time, Tony's like, all right, I'm gonna go undercover. I've never been undercover as a police officer, which he is in the real world, but he's going to go undercover in the game of Survivor with a lot less risk, and he's going to try to make basically everyone think that he's on their side. So he's already in his real alliance, which is Ben, Sarah, Sophie. I'm missing somebody. Ben, Sarah, Sophie, Tony. Who am I missing here? Nick. And there's 9 people left in the game, so that's the majority alliance. So then you're left with Jeremy, Michelle, Denise, and Kim in the minority alliance. But he says, you know what? Tony here, he'll be the pinky. He's like, I'm going to try to make them think I'm on their side so that I can basically play both sides, be double agent here. And I'm going to make Jeremy think that I'm on his team and he's my number one, and let's go with that. And he does a pretty good job convincing Jeremy that he wants to be on his side. He says, Jeremy uses the term, Tony was extremely believable twice. Extremely believable. And Kim was too smart for that. She could tell. She's like, Tony's playing both sides. He's playing double agent. He's obviously playing Jeremy. I don't really have any choice but to flip and go with the majority alliance, because otherwise Tony's just going to turn on us and just get us out, and there's really no winning from the bottom. So I'm going to go and join the majority. So Kim and Denise both flip to the majority alliance, and the majority alliance now is 7 people. There's really only Jeremy and Michelle. Yeah, Jeremy and Michelle are the only people that aren't part of this alliance. Whoa! What is that? You just subscribed? Look at the zombie. I don't know what that is. Is that on YouTube? Or is that on Twitch? I'm not sure what that was. It made a sound and everything. I don't know what that was. Thank you, Kochan. I'm not sure what just happened. But thank you for the zombie. I'm not sure what's happening. That was unexpected. That threw me off a little bit. But I'm going to keep going with the recap and review. And I'll figure out what the heck just happened at the end. No, this is 30 days, Mike. This is over the last 30 days, and this is my full-time income. So, all right. So they decide to split the votes. There's 7 of them. So they're like, all right, 4 of us will vote for Jeremy. Or, I'm sorry. See, wasn't there 5 of them? Oh, yeah. 4 of us will vote for Jeremy, and 2 of us will vote for 3? There's 7 of them. It's like 4 for Jeremy and 2 for Michelle. What am I missing here, guys? Survivor fans out there. Who am I missing? Because I forget who was supposed to vote for who. So it was Sarah, Ben, Sophie, Kim, Denise, Tony, and Nick. Oh, yeah, because then... Okay, yeah. So I think it was 5 voting for Jeremy, 2 voting for Michelle, just in case Jeremy played an idol. And then the other 2, are Jeremy and Michelle. So Michelle is going to get a couple votes, but mostly the target is Jeremy. And everybody's okay with that. Everyone's cool with it. It's happening. On the flip side, Jeremy thinks that they're targeting Sophie. No, they think that they're targeting Ben. Kim says, I think we should target Ben. It's the only thing that makes sense to me. We didn't really get to see why she thinks that and what the explanation was behind that. I don't understand why they would want to target Ben. I don't think Ben's really a big threat in the game. He hasn't won really any immunities. Group immunities, but not individuals. He hadn't played or used any idols or advantages. He doesn't seem to be playing a great strategy. I mean, his social game's alright. He seems close with Sarah and Sophie, so I don't know. But that's who they wanted to target. Now, that doesn't make sense to me from Jeremy's perspective either, because supposedly his strategy is a meat shield strategy. So why would he want to go for Ben, who is a perfect opportunity of a meat shield? If you guys don't know what a meat shield is, it's like a big, strong guy who has a bigger target on his back than you do. If you're a big, strong guy, you want as many other big, strong guys there as possible so that you don't become the biggest target. You know, you're the biggest threat, so people target you. So if you have other ones there, you can kind of like keep the target dispersed, and you can also work together to keep each other in the game. Was it YouTube? I don't know. I don't sell juice, Mike. No, it's a kind of a metaphor for like juicy, positive energy. Ben wears the hat. Yes, the cowboy hat. Was it YouTube? I don't know. I think I saw something pop up in my email as well. Maybe it wasn't my email. I don't know. I don't have any emails. Something popped up on my screen. I don't know what it was. Was it Twitch? I'm not sure. I've never seen that pop up before, so I don't know. If you guys don't subscribe to my YouTube channel, if you want to go subscribe to it and see if that pops up, that'd be great. All right, so that's their plan. Split the votes. 5 on Jeremy, 2 on Michelle. Doesn't matter what Jeremy and Michelle do, they're out. You know, if Jeremy plays an idol, then Michelle will be out. Because even if there's a tie, so even if Jeremy and Michelle vote for the same person, it's a tie, and everybody goes back and re-votes for one of the 2 people, which would end up being Michelle. All right. So then, before we get into anything more, we flip over to Edge of Extinction, and we see that everyone's searching for wood. They're picking up sticks and wood for the fire. Natalie is going through the sand, and she finds a wine bottle. And at first, I don't know if anyone else thought this, I thought it was Tyson's peanut butter jar that he had been secretly, sneakily eating and hilariously eating. But it was just a wine bottle. And Parvati's like, someone had wine out here? And Natalie goes, oh, there's a note in it. So Parvati's right there. Natalie and Parvati find it. And Parvati says, let's don't tell anyone. I love that term. Let's don't tell anyone. And they read it, and it's an Extortion Advantage. And what this Extortion Advantage says is that you can use it against one player still in the game, and they will have to sit out at the next immunity challenge. They will not be able to vote at the next tribal council unless they meet your payment demands. So you can demand any amount of tokens, fire tokens, that you like. And they had to figure out who are they going to go for. It has to be somebody who's kind of unpredictable. They have too much of pride and ego to sit out through the immunity challenge and not have a vote, and they're just like, they're going to do whatever it takes to get the tokens. And if you watched last night when I was watching live, I'm going Tony. It's going to be Tony. They better pick Tony. He's the best person for that role. And sure enough, they picked Tony. So it's hilarious because Tony gets the advantage. And when he sees it, he's like, oh my God, he's getting so excited. I get to extort somebody. This is so illegal. He's a police officer. Like, this is great. And it was exciting, like this whole extortion advantage, something we've never seen before because there's never been fire tokens in the game before this season. And he's all excited, and he's like, oh, who am I going to use this against? It's going to be amazing. And then he gets to the bottom, and it says, this advantage is being played against you. And he's like, what? He has to pay 6 fire tokens, and he has 3. So they picked a good person because he and Denise both have 3 fire tokens. And they view Tony as someone who's less likely to sit out of an immunity challenge and lose his vote for tribal council. So, especially because he just won last week's immunity challenge. It was his first individual immunity win ever. They're like, all right, let's go for him. Let's go for 6 tokens. So he... let me just make sure. Oh, and where they found... So in the note in the wine bottle said there was an advantage hidden basically in the camp where everyone sleeps on Edge of Extinction. So Parvati managed to distract everyone and say, oh my God, come look at the sunset. It's so beautiful. She gets everyone to go out of the camp and go look at the sunset while Natalie goes and searches under the bed and finds the Extortion Advantage. So I skipped that part. Okay, so he has 3. So he goes to Michelle because Michelle was believed to be the richest person in the game. She had 4 tokens 2 weeks ago. And before she bought the 50-50 immunity idol advantage, which she bought for 4 tokens. And she came up with a great lie. I thought this was really well played. It really kind of impressed me to see Michelle play like this, and it was something I've been wanting to see from her. She said, I actually don't have any fire tokens because I bought an advantage that's an advantage in the challenge to get back from Edge of Extinction. So when I go to Edge of Extinction, I get to have an advantage in the competition to get back into the game. She's like, so I don't have an advantage in the game here, but I have an advantage on the edge to get back into the game. And I had to pay 4 fire tokens for it. Tony completely believes her. He even said she came clean, which is a total lie. She made that up. Now, she did spend her 4 tokens, but not on that. She has a 50-50 immunity idol in her pocket, which she can play at any time, and that is huge. I mean, that was awesome. I thought that was a great lie. She delivered it well. He believed her as a police officer, and it was just amazing. So she didn't have to give him anything. Jeremy gives him 1, because he believes he's not being played by him. Ben and Nick each give him 1. So Nick had 2 fire tokens, so now he's down to 1. And Ben and Jeremy had 2 as well, so he gives Tony 1. And then Ben only had 1, so he gave his only fire token to Tony, which equals 6. He has 6 fire tokens. He says, I'll try to pay you back if I get some more tokens. I'll try to pay you back if I can. And they're all like, okay. Because they're trying to keep Tony on their side, right? They're trying to say, here's my loyalty to you. Vote with me. Be on my team. Be in my alliance. Teamwork, right? Because you don't get to, it's sole survivor at the end, but you don't get there unless you have people, you have to be in the numbers to get that far in the game. So he gets all 6 tokens. He pays them to Jeff in the beginning. It's very painful because he had all these fire tokens. He has to pay it just to participate. And now that means that Parvati and Natalie get those 6 fire tokens. Hey, Jason. Thanks for coming over on YouTube. So I don't really know how they split that up, how they decide who gets the tokens, how many of the tokens. We don't really get to see like what they're spending them on. My one criticism of this show this season is that they're not tracking the fire tokens in a clear way for the audience. It's hard to remember and tell who has how many. I've been tracking it from week to week, but even I actually had overlooked one. I had it several weeks ago, but I forgot to keep bringing it over each week with how many they had. So I was actually surprised that Sophie had 2 yesterday. I was like, wait, she has 2, and I went back far enough, and I remember that Yule gave Sophie his fire token when he was out, and I hadn't actually tracked that. So I think it'd be cool if at the end of the episodes, it showed how many fire tokens each person had left. Because 2 weeks ago, maybe 3 weeks ago now, Danny and Parvati found the flip a vote advantage, which was they sold to Michelle for 4 tokens. And again, who got those tokens? Parvati, Danny, did they split them? Did they spend them? They said they were going to spend them on food for everyone on Edge of Extinction. We never got to see that. We never got to see them buying any food or an immunity idol or advantages in the challenge. We haven't seen any of that. So it's like, dude, how rich and, how many tokens are still in play on Edge of Extinction? Who has them? It sounds to me like Parvati should be the richest person on Edge of Extinction and potentially the richest person in the entire game. But how is she managing those? Is she splitting them with other people? Is she keeping them? Is she spending them on food? What is she doing with them? What's going on? We don't know. And I wish that they were clearer on that, So anyway, the immunity challenge comes. They basically are standing on a plank, balancing on a plank, and they're holding a long stick, looks almost like a jousting sword, that they have to hold up. They're basically balancing this little totem up against this stick. And if they move any certain direction, the totem falls over and they're out of the immunity challenge. So, long story short, Tony wins his 2nd ever immunity challenge for 2 weeks in a row, and he was almost not even able to participate in that immunity challenge. So not only did he pay the he fundraised 3 fire tokens and doubled the amount of fire tokens he had. He paid them to participate in the challenge, and it totally paid off because there he is again with the necklace 2 weeks in a row. Last week was his first time ever winning individual immunity. This week was his 2nd time ever winning individual immunity. 2 weeks in a row. Pretty awesome stuff. Impressive enough on its own. And he wins 2 fire tokens for winning the immunity challenge. So the necklace, he gets immunity and 2 fire tokens. Now he says, this is another thing that wasn't really made very clear. He says, now I can pay back my debts. But if I'm calculating correctly, which I am, he had a debt of 3 fire tokens. Jeremy, Nick, and Ben. So who did he pay back and who didn't he pay back? My suspicion is he paid Jeremy and Nick back and not Ben. They didn't show that, but I think that was part of the plan that he used at the end of the episode, which I found to be the most impressive play of the entire game so far, strategy-wise. Back to back. Yeah, exactly. Perfect. It was perfect. So basically everyone's going for Jeremy, right? The plan is that there's 7 of them, all really gunning for Jeremy, but just in case he has an immunity idol, 5 will vote Jeremy, 2 will vote Michelle, and it doesn't really matter what Michelle and Jeremy do. Cool. You know, Kim and Denise have flipped. Well, Tony wants Sophie, and he wants Sophie because potentially he's using the same meat strategy that Jeremy is using, because that's what they were doing originally with Tyson and Ben when they were all a happy family. They all were trying to kind of get out the people who, I forget what they call them, like the silent people that are just kind of sliding by. They're not considered big targets or big threats, and they're just making it further and further in the game. They wanted to get those people out. Hey, Slap. Hey, Dutchie. You think Ben's gonna win? Oh, I don't think so. I don't know, though. We'll see. Hey, Cher. I don't know. I don't think he's gonna win. I don't feel like he's played any game so far. I haven't been impressed with the game that he's played thus far, so we'll see. Now, Tony wants Sophie because Sophie is close to Sarah, and that's who he views as his partner, right? Cops are us. And he's like, that's not okay. Same thing that Jeremy was going to do with Wendell when he was going to get Nick out, because he wanted Wendell to have nowhere to turn but him. This is what Tony's trying to do with Sarah. He wants Sarah fully dependent on him, working with him only, no other really strong alliances, and he can see that she and Sophie are getting quite close. So he decides, let's get rid of Sophie, because then Sarah's all mine. You know, she's got nowhere to turn but me, and that's powerful and valuable. But remember, she could also turn against you, so we'll see how that plays out. But he decides he wants to go for Sophie. So how's he going to do this? Kim and Denise have already flipped. So he's got Jeremy and Michelle. That's 3. That's not going to even if he takes his number away from the 5 vote, it's still 4 against 3. Jeremy still goes home. Plus now they know that Tony flipped on them. So what he needs is to pull one of these other 4 people voting for Jeremy. He needs to pull that person over to voting for Sophie, and he looks to find that in Nick. Nick gave him a fire token. I assume he gave him that fire token back. I assume he gave Jeremy his fire token back, which was a way of buying allegiance and getting them to vote the way that he wanted them to vote. They didn't show that in the game. I'm not sure if that's what happened. That's just a theory. That's just speculation. I think maybe that's what happened. I don't know. It would make sense to me. So he does another strategic move. So not only is he running the numbers properly, right? All they need is 4. If he can pull himself and one person, they only have a vote of 3, and now he can create a 4. He can get Jeremy's loyalty. Michelle, yeah, so it's him, Jeremy, Michelle, gets Michelle's loyalty, gets Nick on his side as well, and then they become, now it's 8 people left in the game. Kim and Denise aren't super loyal to the other side. I don't know. We'll see. I think it makes sense for them to work with Ben if they're doing this meat shield strategy, which means Michelle's really not that secure. Michelle, Denise, and Kim will probably be able to have like their own little threesome. We're going to have to see how this all plays out. It's really exciting. Oh, and Sarah. So it might be like Girls Against the Guys kind of coming up on us here soon with 4 and 4. So the most probably masterful part of his plan is not the plan right there with the numbers and who's going to vote for who. That's impressive in and of itself. He won 2 immunity challenges in a row. That's impressive in and of itself. But what I found to be the most impressive piece of this whole puzzle that he masterfully pulled together in this episode, which I never thought he even was going to win. He was too wild. He was all over the place. He wasn't going to be able to win. This episode changed that perception for me in a big way. He waited. He watched the sun going down. He said he's watching the sun going down, and he's waiting. He says, I want to spring this on Nick and Jeremy just a few minutes before we have to leave for tribal council. And Jeremy will tell Michelle, I don't want there to be a lot of time for everyone to go around and scramble. I want this to be a few minutes of pressure. Do or die. This is your chance. This is your choice. You have to make this choice now. There's no time to think about it or change your mind. And that, I think, was a big key in pulling it off. It was the key ingredient. That pressure, that time. He goes to Nick and he tells him, hey, here's what I want to do. I think that we should do this. It's our chance to get Sophie out. I don't know how he convinced Nick of that, but it could have had something to do with the fire token. Then, and Nick, I think also he played it like, he presented it to Nick like, this is your chance to build your resume. This is your resume builder, right? It's a big move. Are you ready to make a big move? And Nick's like thinking, I haven't made any moves. I'm going to need to make some moves if I'm going to win this game. So yeah, let's make this move. Potentially what he's not thinking about is that it's not your move. Just because you're one of the numbers in that move doesn't mean that it's yours, right? It's his just as much as it's Michelle's or Jeremy's. It's none of theirs. It's Tony's. This is Tony's resume. You're just helping him build his resume, you know? And I think it actually would have made more sense for Nick to throw Tony under the bus and stay with his alliance, because he actually is a pretty loyal guy. And then they couldn't really go for Tony that night, but they still could have gone for Jeremy and then go for Tony the first moment he doesn't have that necklace. Now Tony has an idol as well. So, and Tony is like the king of finding idols. So there's about 6 votes left in the game, and let me show one thing before this is. I show this each week. I'll show it now just to get it out of the way because I already basically gave it away. Sophie does officially get voted out by those 4 people: Jeremy, Michelle, Nick, and Tony, which blindsides not only Sophie but also blindsides Ben and Sarah, her closest ally, and also Tony's closest ally, Denise, and Kim. So it's a pretty major blindside, and that could blow up in Tony's face. Like I said, there are 6 more votes before the end of the season, so it seems like there's 5 more votes, right? Because there's 8 people left in the game. But remember, one person from Edge of Extinction is going to win their way back into the game, so there's going to have to be 6 more people voted out to get, and they might do like a double tribal or something, because there's only 3 episodes left. So that's actually going to be like, I don't know, 3 double tribals? I don't know what the deal is. I don't know how they're going to vote all these people out in time. But there's going to have to be 6 more people voted out, which means he's going to have to survive. Tony's going to have to survive 6 votes. And he has 1 immunity idol, so that's something, but it's still 5 votes that he has to get through. So he might keep winning these immunity challenges, which would be great for him. But he's got to be a little careful because he kind of flipped, and I don't know if it's a little too early for that or not. Some people think it's the perfect time to make a big move. It was very impressive, very well orchestrated, but it also is going to put a big target on his back. And we see from scenes from next week's episode that Sarah's really pissed at him. You know, you blew up my game. I don't know. We'll have to see. I mean, he wants to work with Sarah from what I could tell, but he also blindsided her, so that's tricky. It's tricky. Hey, Nelson. Good to see you, too. I am good. How are you doing? So what I didn't understand was that Jeremy was so hesitant to vote for Sophie over Ben because it seemed like he really wanted to be with Kim and Denise. Oh, and that's what Tony did. He went to Jeremy and said, hey, Kim and Denise flipped on you. They're voting for you. Everyone's voting for you and Michelle. And you know, he's like, you're going to be blindsided. Jeremy's like, who's trying to blindside me? Tony's like, literally everyone except Michelle, right? And he's like, so I'm coming to you. I can tell you don't trust me. I don't know what else to do, but like we gotta do this. This is our only option. And he was right. And Jeremy luckily did trust him, and he did it. And now they're in the majority. Now remember too, Sophie had an idol. She had an idol in her pocket. Now one mistake I would say on her part is she basically assumed that she's not going to win her way back into the game, because when she was voted out, she said, "Oh, with an idol in my pocket," out loud. Which isn't that good of a strategy, considering you can go to Edge of Extinction, win your way back into the game, and then you still have the idol, which you can use in the game. I don't think you lose it, because it's Edge of Extinction. You can come back with the idol, but now everyone's going to know that you have it. So, I mean, I don't know the chances of her winning her way back in. She is really good at puzzles, but I don't know. We'll have to see. You know, I was kind of like, oh, don't tell them you had an idol, because then they know, like, if there's an idol out of the game, there might be another idol to search for tomorrow, blah, blah, blah. Who knows? Sarah and Sophie were close, yeah. You have to go slow, right? How fat the plans will be, yeah. Hey, Sugar Sugar. Oh, what did you miss? I don't know, Survivor? I don't know, did you watch Survivor last night? No, so Sophie gave her 2 tokens. I thought this was interesting. She gave 1 token to Sarah, which, of course, that was her closest ally. But she also gave a token to Kim, which I was surprised by, because Kim was targeting Sophie last week. So it was kind of like, apparently Sophie was not aware of that. And I said early in the episode last night that Kim and Sophie, I think, were playing the best games. They were playing great strategy, doing really, really well, being really smart, seems to be pretty aware of what's going on in the game. However, Sophie got blindsided, so Kim might be next. You know, Kim and Denise both flipped on Jeremy, so that wedge is now driven. They're not super attached to Ben, and I think it's just them, right? It's just them and Ben at this point. Because Nick's now with Tony and Jeremy and Michelle. Who am I missing? So then there's Ben, Denise, Kim, Tony, Jeremy, let's see, Tony, Jeremy, Michelle, Nick, Denise, Kim, Ben. I'm missing one person. Sarah. Sarah's probably in the Tony alliance, though. So if Kim and Denise thought they were on the bottom before, that flip-flop to the other side really screwed them. Now, I don't know if they're going to target... I feel like Denise has been skating by for too long after the Sandra thing. Like, she should have been being targeted this whole time, and why she's not being targeted, I don't know. I mean, she even won the first individual immunity challenge, so she's definitely she's definitely a threat. So Kim is a threat too, though, because Kim plays a really good game. She's really strategic and popular. She's got a good social angle. So either of those two, I mean, they're both screwed from what I can tell. Unless they win individual immunity, I think it's going to be one of them next week. That's my prediction. Yeah, taking things slow. All right, so update on the fire tokens. Oh, I got to update. Sorry, I forgot to put Kim and Sarah's. Okay, so I think, now, like I said, on Edge of Extinction, who knows what the heck's going on? Does Parvati have out of everyone on Extinction, Parvati has to have the most fire tokens. Now, does Natalie have some now? Does Danny have any? How many do these people have? Who the hell knows? Because they're not making very clear with the production, with the editing, the way they're editing it. So there's 10 fire tokens there that are question marks. The 4 from Michelle, the 6 from Tony. We don't know who they went to, if they got spent, we don't know. So there's 10 question mark fire tokens that are just like, who knows what's going on with those on Edge of Extinction. Everyone else on Edge of Extinction has 0 fire tokens, right? Because you have to give them up when you leave, and there haven't been a lot of challenges for them to get them. In the game, Denise and Kim are the richest with 3 fire tokens each. And Tony, I think, now has 0, because we know Michelle has 0. So in the game, Michelle has 0. Tony, I assume, paid his 2 fire tokens back. We don't know exactly who to. So I'm thinking Tony now has 0. I'm thinking that Jeremy now has back to 2. And Nick is also now back to 2. And now Ben has 0 as well. These are theoretical. Again, they didn't show us this, so it's really hard to say. It's kind of hard to keep track of all this because we just don't know. Let me put... Ben 0. Did Tony pay him? Or Nick? Or Jeremy? I don't know. Ben was very close to Sarah and Sophie, so it makes sense that Tony decided to pull Nick instead, right? Who else could he have pulled? But that also makes me think Ben will be on this alliance as well. It goes with the meat shield strategy, and also he's still close to Sarah. So, and they didn't really, I mean, Tony blindsided Ben and Sarah, but it wasn't them that he chose. So there is some redemption there for them. So it still seems to me like Kim and Denise are on the bottom. They flipped too many times, right? They were in that alliance kind of in the beginning. Then they flipped over with Jeremy. Now they're flipping back. It's not looking too good for them. Not looking good at all. And I really would actually say that Kim is the bigger threat than Denise. even though Denise got Sandra out. I think that was actually a bad play, because if you think about it, this is what I was talking about last night with my boyfriend, is that Denise had the opportunity to get Tony out all the way back then, and she chose to get Sandra out instead, and Sandra is not a threat at all. And you're just like, what? That was so dumb. Like, you could have gotten rid of this guy then, and you'd have Sandra on your side, who is a huge target for so many people. I'm never gonna let that go. I know I've been like harping on Denise this whole past several weeks since that happened, but I just feel like that was such a bad move. Hey, Heyday! These are the people who've contributed to the channel over the last 30 days. That one should take the easy way out. Alright, bye Dutchie. Fist tap. A maggot has more protein than meat if you're ever stuck on a desert island. Yeah, they don't have meat, so that's good. Sometimes they can win reward challenges where they get food, but I feel like have they even had reward challenges this season? I feel like they haven't won food. Oh no, they got peanut butter and jelly that one time. Sophie predicted it, right? Yeah, I'm doing really well. I'm feeling quite good. Actually, let me just see what Matt's about to say so I don't miss it. I'm just going to shut down the comments for a second on Periscope once Matt sends his message. I can see him typing there. I think I'm pretty much done with content for the day. App cuts out on live after hours, so it must be UK. When you're live, you mean? Or when you're watching broadcast? Chilling in my not-so-boring quarantine. Yeah, music and gaming. Yeah, last night we went into the hot tub. We were drinking, we played Uno till 3 in the morning, we danced. Me and my boyfriend are living it up during quarantine. Alright, Matt, I don't see your message, so I'm gonna just go ahead and check something real quick. Yeah, that's pretty much it for me. Any questions? Any comments about the Survivor episode? Any predictions on who wins? It's so hard to say. Tony's in a good... I don't know. I mean, at this point, Michelle could frickin' win. It is so hard to say. Who's gonna win their way back? I will say that I hope that of the people who have fire tokens on the edge of extinction, they don't make the same stupid mistake they made last time, where they wasted 3 fire tokens on immunity idols, but instead that they will max out 3 advantages for the competition back into the game, and that they will get all 3 advantages with 3 tokens, and if they have 3 other tokens, they can get an immunity idol with that one. But I think they really messed that up royally last time. I mean, Rob would have had it in the bag if he had had 3 advantages. And if he didn't, then Natalie would have had it in the bag with 3 advantages. But no, they all just took 1 advantage and then immunity idols. And I'm like, so now Rob and Natalie have immunity idols on Edge of Extinction, which are useless. It just makes no sense. I forgot to go live. Who did? Why do they contribute to... Okay. Watching on live must be hot or got clicked off. Yeah, I haven't heard of anyone having that problem. I'm not sure what's going on with that. I did not forget to go live. I've been live for 3 hours today. I'm not really sure what you mean. I don't know if I'm understanding all of these comments, but I assume people support the channel because they like it. What? But you'd have to ask them. So you'll see some of them in the chat. Like Cher's a monthly supporter, Matt's a monthly supporter, Ed's a monthly supporter, Rhodey's up here. Oh. Okay, sure. Yeah, it's hard to figure that out in the chat, right? Hey, Will, how are you? All right. My throat hurts. I need water. I'm going to go read my book, Girl Wash Your Face by Rachel Hollis. I hope you guys have a wonderful rest of your night. I hope to see you back tomorrow for 3 more hours of positive content here on Periscope. Please follow me. You can also subscribe to my YouTube channel where I'm live right now. All the links for getting my book reviews email and for following up with me and following me on other platforms is all right there in the description, nextjuice.com. It's not. No, it's not like a charity at all. No, it's not dance time. All right, I'm going to go. Comments are getting progressively weird. Love you guys. This has been a moment in time with Taylor. I love you for being weird. I'm going to go. I don't know what else to say. Bye.